Good morning, everyone. So this video is a review of your practice problems and exit ticket from Monday's lesson, where I'm going to go over some of the common misconceptions that I saw. Okay, so first off, let me start by saying it's really important that when you guys complete these lessons and these practice problems, that you are really taking your time and reading each question to make sure that you are, in fact, answering what the question is asking. I saw some people on, for this problem, for instance, they were combining -11 and -15, and that's not what the question was asking. It was asking if -11 is warmer or colder. So your answer should have said, this is warmer because blank. All right, so let's look at it. So is a temperature of -11 degrees warmer or colder than a temperature of -15 degrees? So let's imagine that this right here is my thermometer, okay? So if 0 degrees is the freezing point of the temperature, and then all of the positive temperatures are up above, and all of the negative temperatures are down below. So -11 degrees is if we started at 0 and we went down 11 spaces, here's where -11 degrees Celsius would be, and -15 would be down here. So -11 is actually warmer than -15 because -11 is actually a bigger number. If you have a vertical number line, like a thermometer, the higher up on the thermometer you are, the warmer it is. So -11 degrees is warmer. It's warmer because it is a larger number than -15. All right, so now let's look at number 2. Is -10 feet closer or farther from the surface of the ocean than an elevation of -8 feet? Okay, so once again, on this next page, I drew another number line that represents elevation. So once again, elevation is always talked about in comparison to sea level. So if you were floating on the ocean, right here's my childish little wave drawing, you would be at 0 feet elevation because you are at sea level. So now it wants us to compare -10 and -8. So negative numbers means you're underneath the sea level. You're below the water, or you're in a valley. So then -8 would be down here, and -10 would be even deeper. This means you swam 8 feet down, and -10 means you swam 10 feet down. So, is an elevation of -10 feet closer or farther? -10 is farther from the surface by 2 feet. You swam down an extra 2 feet. All right, so number 3, it was 8 degrees at nightfall, and the temperature dropped 10 degrees by midnight. What was the temperature at midnight? So that means if it was 8 degrees and it dropped, so it went down 1 degree, it would now be 7 degrees, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So from 8 degrees to 0 degrees is down 8 degrees, and it went 2 more. It would now be -2 degrees. 2 degrees less than 0. So it would be -2 degrees Celsius at midnight. All right, so now for number 4, we're talking once again about the sea level. So I'll go back over here. So it says a diver is 25 feet below sea level. So once again, his elevation then would be -25 because he's a diver, so he's below the water, so he swam down 25 feet. And then it says he swims up 15 feet towards the surface. So if you were 25 feet below the water and you swam up 15 feet, you would now be at negative 10 negative 10 feet for your elevation, because you are still 10 feet below the ocean. He didn't swim enough to reach the top of the ocean. He's still at negative 10. So if you wanted to write that as a math equation, negative 25 plus 15 equals negative 10 feet would be his elevation. So a whale is at the surface of the ocean to breathe. What is the whale's elevation? So if the whale was at the surface, I'll just draw it like a little fish. Then the whale, if he's at the surface, then his elevation is 0 feet. He's at sea level. And then he swims down 300 feet. So then he goes all the way down. And so anytime you're below sea level, that's a negative number. So now he's negative 300 feet below sea level. He swam downward. So some of you just said 300 feet as in positive 300. Remember, if you're below the sea level, then your answer must be negative. And then he swims down 150 feet more. So then if he swam down another 150 feet, he would now be at negative 450 feet. Okay? And once again, the reason why negative 300 minus 150 is negative 150, because he's going downward in the ocean. And now for the exit ticket, still working with negative numbers in the context of temperature and sea level. So a temperature of 30 degrees, it says a temperature of 35 degrees Fahrenheit is as cold as a temperature of negative 35. So this one, pretty much everyone got right. Once again, so if this is 0 degrees where it starts to snow, where water freezes, here's 35 degrees, it's much warmer than that. Negative 35 would be all the way down here, 35 degrees below freezing. So I disagree with this. Negative 35 degrees is much colder. Every negative is lower than any positive. A city has an elevation of 15 meters is closer to sea level than a city that has an elevation of negative 10 meters. So I already have negative 10. 15 would be up here. This one confused a lot of people. A lot of people said that this is true because positive is always closer to sea level. That's not true. So if here's the ocean, if I wanted to get back to the surface of the ocean, if I was 10 feet below, I would only have to swim 10 feet to get back to the surface. If I was 15 feet above, say I climbed a ladder, I would have to climb 15 feet down. So even though this is negative, negative 10 feet is closer to the ocean than 15 feet up is. So false. Negative 10 meters is only 10 meters away, and 15 meters is 15 away. So once again, pretty easy to see that 10 meters is closer to something than 15. Whether it's positive or negative doesn't matter. All we're talking about is getting to sea level. And now a city that has an elevation of negative 17 meters is closer to sea level than a city that has an elevation of negative 40. So once again, if we look here, negative 17 would be here, and negative 40 would be down here. So once again, if we're looking at sea level, and I swam down 17 feet, I would be 17 feet below the surface, negative 17. Negative 40 is 13 meters even further down, 23 meters further down than that. So this is true. Negative 17 is 23 meters closer to sea level. So make sure that you use the information from this video to check your work, and to complete your lesson today.